Gamers! Mario Kart World, I've been playing it for a solid month now. It's finally here after 11 years. And that got me thinking, should I do a cup ranking, methinks? Me thoughts, and I shall. As we have got all the cups here, and I'm going to rank them from 8th to 1st. So gamers, let's do our first prediction time of the evening. What do you think is going to take my 8th place spot? Prediction time is now closed. Let's take a look at what you have come up with. Shell, flower, special, and lightning. Oof, how very, very frightening. Star, shell, fire. Actually, more of a varied list than I thought it was going to be. But of course, there can only be one winner today, gamers. If you have guessed, to no one's surprise, the Shell Cup, give yourself a round of applause. Savannah, Selvaga. Well, I'm watching in another language because I think it's just funnier that way. Metropoli, Coroda, Stadio Peach, and Prior Koopa Trooper. Good lord. Do you know what the really sad part about this cup is, chat? Is that the cup actually starts off really, really well. Now, you know me, gamers. I love my circles. I love my circles. I love my ovals. I love my craziness.
It's me, Mario.
So, if you're telling me that Koopa Troopa Beach is basically just a circle, I'm kind of here for it. I'll always be here for it every single day of the week. It's got Cheep Cheeps, it's got 5 laps, and it's got raving ass Koopa Trooper as well. Straight from Electrodrome, you know? He was inspired by, what's it, Larry? Making the turntables go, and decided to do a Koopa Trooper party here. I love this. It's not Baby Park? Nah, it might not be Baby Park, but it is a loving homage to the SNES tracks. One thing that's quite nice about this game is that they seem to give Super Mario Kart its flowers in terms of the intermissions in some instances, which we'll talk about later, and in terms of the tracks themselves. And Koopa Troopa Beach making the jump from intermission reference to actual track, I think it's pretty damn good, honestly. If they had to reference this 40-year-old boomer-ass game, I think they did it in a way that is quite tasteful, quite faithful, and quite grateful. I couldn't come up with a third, so I'm just going to do it anyway. Once we're done with Koopa Troopa Beach, we end up sailing away, gamers. Now, of course, this is a cup ranking. I'm not just going to be judging the 4 tracks on an individual basis. I want to see how well they flow from one to another. So, of course, once we're done starting off on a pretty great note, we drive from beach to, where are we going now? We're going to a certain place, a faraway oasis, you might say. So overall, you first start driving on this watery area with some small rippling waves. Personally, even after playing this game for a whole month, I can't say overwater driving has particularly won me over. There's something about driving on water, be it under or over, that just doesn't quite enamor me nearly as much. Let's just put it this way. If any section has above water, it's probably not going to rank particularly high. I'm going to give you a warning right now. One thing I really like is when the intermissions smoothly transition from one area to another. And I like the fact that this jump, boom, you hit a block, and you can already see the sandy beaches have changed to a more savanna-type grasslands thing. And in order to sell you on the change even more, what do they have except some animals rolling around the road? You have some armadillos, you have some elephants, even a couple of zebras or two running around the frame, which kind of leads you to thinking, oh my god, faraway oasis. Am I about to go on an epic safari? This is going to be amazing. So once you finally go on the run with the animals, you finally play the track proper, and you're thinking, oh my god, am I going to jump on a zebra? Am I going to fight an elephant? Am I going to bounce off multiple elements, total wipeout style? And then, even though the racetrack is pretty okay, it kind of baits you into thinking that the track is going to be more than it's worth. I'm sure I'm not the only one who is a bit disappointed that the racetrack itself does not feature any of the animals as actual obstacles. Yeah, they're around the outsides, but considering they were actual obstacles and you implemented them quite nicely, having them implemented in a more closed-off, more refined racetrack would have been more interesting if you ask me. It does make use of the parkour stuff, and this Yoshi's Fool style bit over here is nice, so it's not a horrible racetrack. Considering what it led up to, you'd hope that the next bit would kind of lean on it a bit more, so it's just a bit of a shame, really. I can't help but feel bait and switched. I think one thing I really like about intermissions is when they kind of tease a gimmick that the racetrack is leading up to is going to showcase. That's probably one of the things I think intermissions can do really well, and I think they should lean into that a bit more. The ones that lean into that a bit more are going to be ones that rank higher on my list. The ones that tend to kind of leave you by or bait and switch you, so to speak, those are going to be the ones that kind of leave me a little disappointed. And if they are going to bait and switch me, is there enough in the racetrack proper to get me going? And with Faraway Oasis, there's just not too much, you know. Again, pretty cool alternate paths, pretty cool Yoshi Fall thing, but not really enough going for me. So a bit of a miss. I really like the track. The layout, the shortcuts are fun, and I like how it's a sequel to Riverside Park, as in the Japan name is called Riverside Safari. That's pretty neat, actually. What about the drive towards Crown City version 2. Controversially, they reused Crown City and Peach Stadium, and they put both reused tracks in the same cup. Very, very strange. So the intermission starts off where the other one kind of left off, which is, driving around with the animals some more. Some giraffes end up taking over the road for you to end up driving past. And then you get to the bridge, which I actually really like this intermission. This intermission is really, really, really solid. I think the basic road intermissions tend to be quite more often than not, but having this bridge, which is relatively speaking quite chock-a-block full of cars, and with the multiple varied paths you can take, even though it's aggressively a straight line, and I won't admit it's not, I think it's actually a lot more fun than people give it credit for, because you can glide along the sides, you can jump on the rails, there's also ramps that you can use to glide, and also when this bridge section is up, as you guys can see, the road kind of gets piled up, which if you're on the wrong side of the road can leave you in the lurch, so to speak. Like, for example, say you jumped over on the left-hand side here and you failed to adjust. You're driving into not one, but 2 bomb cars right there. Does that make sense? It's got that Burnout Paradise effect where risk equals reward, If you stay on the wrong side of the road, you might be able to stay away from the fray, as other people might avoid the wrong side of the road, but you also have to contend with way more cars. I think the amount of cars and the amount of variance in this aggressively straight line makes it a little less aggressively a straight line. So I quite like this intermission. What about the racetrack itself, though? It transitions to night sometimes as well, at least when I played it a couple times, which is also pretty nice. I like that. But once you get to Crown City proper, it goes from pretty solid intermission to just a kind of neat, I suppose. I think one thing that's a bit of a shame about this intro bit is that a good chunk of this track, at least not too much, but a good chunk of this track is taken up by just driving through the city again, which, considering you just spent a good time driving through traffic, having the opening of your track be driving through traffic is a bit of a Like, the thing with Crown City in the first one is that you drove into Crown City, but the gimmick was kind of like you took a ride around the top of Crown City into this constructive sort of area, even learning how to rail grind once, and then you fly over. So even though it's set in a city, they didn't really use traffic as a hazard because you've seen that before. So using traffic here again is a bit of a weak start, so to speak, but it quickly does transition you to the other parts, the more rough and tumble bits, the skate park area. It's got graffiti gamers, therefore that's when you know it's rough and tumble. Ooh, it's even got some rail grinding areas to keep you occupied, some higher and lower paths. I like how narrow this road gets. It's actually pretty neat. I like this bit, especially considering how different it is from the intermission earlier. You spent all this time driving on the open bridge road, only to be confined to this relatively narrow alleyway. A neat enough ending, but doesn't really stick in my memory too much. Like, even though this is cool, and it's definitely nice to see an alternate part of Crown City, I'm not going pog crazy. Does that make sense? It is another weird instance where I think I like the intermission more, which, considering the racetrack is what you end up going to, is a bit laughable. The whole idea is the intermission is kind of like the appetizer, and the racetrack's supposed to be the final course. But I've had 2 final courses now where I'm just kind of like, I don't know, could you bring back the appetizer, please? So is it going to happen a 3rd time, though? Surely it doesn't happen 3 times in a row, gamers. So once you end up leaving Crown City, you end up driving in, even though it's not aggressively a straight road, as you can see here. I want to be honest, it might as well be, because this is probably one of those boring intermissions. It's just cars, and more cars. I have famously asked, where are the cars? Here they are, because it's just more road, essentially. I kind of did this. We're just kind of driving on roads, but I don't really have nearly as much options as I was, and there's not as much traffic to keep me, like, on my toes. I suppose transitioning us to a road with cherry blossoms is kind of okay, I guess, but yeah, this is just road, gamers. If you told me this stage, the intermission and the track proper were just unfinished, I don't think I'd blame you too hard. And of course, once we get to the track proper, we get the thing that everyone has been hinting about in my live chat already. Now, I don't like to minimap judge, but good lord, gamers, look at my minimap, dog. I'm going to fucking jail. Now, you might think, but Musty, you love DK Spaceport, and that's just a bunch of like, ooh. This is aggressively a paperclip. I don't want to lay out therefore, but you watch this gameplay and tell me what part of the track you're going pog crazy for. I don't know what's happening here. We're starting to feel like I'm in a stadium. And considering we literally played Koopa Troopa Beach, was just a small track that was a load of fun, ending on a small track that's just aggressively a small track is just... I don't know what they were thinking. For me, if you're asking me, I weight the cut based on like how it ends, you know? I'm okay with the kind of start. if you end really, really well. And Peach's Stadium is probably the worst cup ender in the entire fucking series. I drive through boring-ass asphalt roads with maybe a cherry blossom to playing a fucking paperclip-looking parking lot. Genuinely embarrassing, and I have no idea where all that dev time went, but it certainly went more into the soundtrack than it did this fucking race course. It is a shame that I actually started off really well, and some of the intermissions were really fun. While I might slightly regretfully put in the 8th spot, there's only a tiny bit of regret. I'm mostly quite content with leaving it there. So what do you guys think? 8 years of dev time, huh? Good fucking grief. Whose idea was this, man? 8 years of hard work, huh? Fucking Melee had 13 months and it came up with better shit than this. Good lord. Yeah, like, and the worst part is the intermissions were better than the tracks. And I love the intermissions, but they're supposed to work as a kind of nice yin and yang. If one is better than the other, the cup just doesn't work. I'd rather just be playing them individually. Does that make sense? I wonder how the heck I got past Q8. Yeah, I wonder as well. Intermission on Peach Stadium Shell doesn't even have big shortcuts on the other intermissions that Peach Stadium have. I think that's the also other bit. I'm glad you touched upon that. Is that the other intermissions dealing with the Peach Stadium, along with the stadium itself, are actually pretty solid. You know, when the second version of Peach Stadium, there's like a bit where you drive into part of that, and I just thought, well, that's kind of cool, right? So there are intermissions that lead into Peach Stadium that are really cool, but for some reason, they decided not to end one of their cups with them. I don't know whose idea that was. Is it worse than 8's cup? I think this cup is worse than anything that 8 had to offer. I'll be real with you. Peach's Stadium 1 is Baby Park if it sucks. This is the track that the Baby Park haters think Baby Park is. That's what this is. That's why this annoys me. But either way, gamers, I think we'll leave it there. So after we're done with a very, very disappointing Shell Cup. So what do you think, gamers? Time to get your predictions on now. Prediction time is now closed. Gamers, I've seen some interesting guesses here. Some interesting guesses. Flower, star, banana, star for sure, leaf? I'm feeling star or lightning. Star. Good grief. Good grief. A lot of people thinking I've got stars in my eyes. But instead, gamers, I will be giving you a bouquet of flowers. If you guessed the flower cup, give yourself a round of applause. Now, Shell Cup was ended aggressively terribly, to the point where I had to rank it as the worst cup in the game. But the reason why this is 7th is this is the most blue balls cup I have ever played in my entire fucking life. And it pisses me the hell off, because this cup could have been amazing. This could have been a cup to end all cups, but instead, it just leaves me going... Now, if I was to show you these 3 tracks written in, I think it's Brazilian Portuguese, which one would you rather play 3 laps of? If you said anything but Desert Hills, give yourself a round of applause, because that's how I feel. I'd rather play 3 laps of literally anything but this. Okay, I guess if there's one track I had to play 3 laps of, I guess it's Desert Flats, I suppose. Of course, I'm calling it Desert Flats. Desert Hills is like everything I hate in a racetrack, in that, you know me, guys, I'm a believer, right? I saw Desert Hills came back, and I'm just like, you know what? I believe in Desert Hills. If you don't believe in Desert Hills, believe in the me that believes in Desert Hills. And it's safe to say, while the change to Super Mario Land theming is nice to match with the cohesive Mario Kart World, as it's more in Sarasa Land, this area of the map, I can't say that the changes kind of did anything for me in particular, because I'm just sitting there going, yeah, okay, it's still fucking Desert Hills though, and I'm not a fan. I do like this middle section a bit more, if I was to give it a bit of a compliment. This section, with the fact that in this game you could do multiple tricks per jump, is a bit more fun, I'll give it that. And then the only actual fun part of Desert Hills, which was the hilly shortcuts at the end, have just been completely removed. They just fucking terraformed them. They just flattened them. Was Daisy just jealous that the hills had more back than her? I don't know why. I don't know whose idea this was, if you ask me, but they gentrified my Desert Hills. Wario was, you think it was Wario that was jealous?
They took my ass! I can't shit!
And don't get me wrong, that ending shortcut, despite being horribly terraformed, is still a nice way to snag a last-minute first place.
I'm not, wait! I wasn't in first!
Provided your name isn't Darkside Phil. But unfortunately, isn't really served well by the game that it's in. See, Mario Kart 8 where those big ending shortcuts were few and far between, or just big shortcuts in general, Desert Hills actually would have fared better in that game. At least would have been a relatively unique selling point alongside Cheeseland. But in a game like Mario Kart World, where big, beautiful shortcuts are plentiful, with an entire game mode that's just full of them, having this in your track isn't really a good selling point. So yeah, terraformed and boring. How unfortunate. And also, considering that there was so many other desert tracks you could have brought back, playing a, frankly, neutered version of Desert Hills, which at best is about the same as the original, at worst is just, no. Yeah, I can't say that we're off to a fantastic start here. What do you guys think, at least? It is really new to this. Like 5 new split paths at the end. Is there 5 new split paths at the end? Is there like a whole 5 split paths? You know what, Albert? Save that for your cup rank, okay? This is my cup ranking. Look at it. Look at this dude. Hang on. Albert Burris, give me an explanation, huh? Look at this dude. Look at it. Instead of having the pokies just going like, ooh, yeah, I want to be distracting. Ooh, pokies, yeah, I was spinning around. Instead, you get this fucking numpty. Who's broken hip? Bro's not hitting me. He ain't hitting anyone. Who's been hit by this guy? No one, okay? No one. Yes, everyone in my chat said no one. Don't confirm it. There's new routes at the end, but they're all slow, I think. Oh, that's even sadder. Oh, you're guessing these routes over here, which I didn't even notice till just now, I'll be real. I think I played each cup like 5 times-ish for this review, and I didn't even notice those, I'll be real. So, goes to show you how much I like this fucking track, eh? Sorry, in my notes, I wrote El Skibbity Toilet Riz, so I thought I'd mention that too. But once we're done with Desert Flats, where do we go but to an intermission game as well? We have our deserty drive towards the Shy Guy Bazaar. Now, one thing I praised in the Shell Cup was the intermissions were actually pretty solid. There were more hits than there were misses. And this one promises you with a decent start, right? You know that Super Mario Bros. 3 theming? The fire snakes? They're back in this decently nice looking cave section. And also, another thing, they kind of tease something that's going to come up ahead. Honestly, like if you notice carefully, gamers, the sandworm is like, oh, hang on. Is he going to come in handy? Is this some like foreshadowing? Oh my God. And then you get into, whoa, you fly into the desert proper. Oh my God, it's so bright you can barely see what's ahead. The sandblocks going, whoa! You're flying as high that you can touch the sky. Wow, it looks nice. Maybe the first time. It looks nice, because every subsequent playthrough I'm just kind of like, it's definitely not being the Mario Kart line allegations, let's put it that way. What a bomb snipe, holy! And in terms of the hazard itself, which is a sandblock, by just not touching the ground, you kind of avoid him entirely. So while it definitely looks nice the first time, in terms of winning me over on a game design front, I can't really say I'm too interested. Yeah, it's definitely not beating the straight line allegations. In all fairness, I do like the fact that, once again, because like the sky is so scorchingly hot, the castle entrance towards like Shy Guy Bazaar, you're entering more like civilized territory. It kind of fades into view, which is quite nice. So as a spectacle, this looks quite nice. It's a shame that all I'm doing is holding nothing, really. So once you get to the second section, we just do a bit more driving. Not really much else going on here. It literally feels like a are we there yet sort of drive. And I'm just like, my brother in Christ, what do you mean are we there yet? You designed the racetrack. You could have maybe had this bit have like maybe a few little houses out here. Because obviously we get into the bazaar, right? The bazaar is like an area with loads of shops with all this thing. So I'm just like, maybe before the bazaar, you could have like a little town area where people live. You know, people live outside of the bazaar. Maybe, hang on, maybe. You could have made this feel like a lived-in world. Oh my God. Crazy, but instead we've just got, once again, the best kind of intermissions. Either tease a gimmick that's to come up ahead, or they do a good job fleshing out the world. The spectacle section where you're driving over a big desert, it does look kind of... But at least it was just quite nice, right? You feel like there's a treacherous area with sandworms that would eat you at a moment's notice. It's a shame it's not fun to play, but it does flesh out the world a little. What does lap 2 leading into Shy Guy Bazaar actually do? Absolutely nothing. I'm just driving from one place to another. It makes you, the player, ask the worst question, which is, why am I just driving here when I could just be playing the next track? It's not really that fun when you don't really have any meat to chew on, you know what I mean? It's just not that fun. But either way, once you get to the bazaar proper, it's actually got a really lovingly nice redesign. Like, I ended up looking at the 7 one for comparison, and while I like the fact that the 7 one is set always at night, whereas in World it can be set at various times of the day, I just love the way this bazaar looks. Look at this, huh? The various grinding elements they've added to this bazaar looks extremely lively, and that's obviously not to mention the obvious addition of Daisy's Palace in the background to kind of really flesh out that this is Sarasaland territory. I absolutely adore this. It looks like there's a festival going on. Like, the theming of this is absolutely phenomenal. They kept the pots as well, the little moving little pots. I think they slow down a tad. They don't really spin you out. I think in the other game they used to spin you out. You've got the alternate lower path. You've got this grinding higher path. This track makes excellent use of World's extra parkour grindy things, along with just being Shy Guy Bazaar, which is a pretty solid track in and of itself, where I'm having a very, very fun time here. It's just a shame, gamers, that it ends way too quickly. As we know, the big criticism of these intermissions into racetracks is that you only get to play one lap. With a track that is already naturally short, like Shy Guy Bazaar, only getting to play one lap of it just left me feeling wanting, really. The thing is, they give this one such a glow. I'm like, so, okay, there's a grind path here, so maybe the next lap I can take this path, and then the next lap I can go there, and the next lap, Fim. Yeah, well, that's a damn shame, isn't it? I just got here and they're kicking us out. But surely the intermission leading into Warrior Stadium is it going to have basically the same problem that the intermission leading the Shy Guy Bazaar had, right? Where it's just kind of road, and more road. Oh, hang on, but look at this, gamers. Look, they have like a town thing. They have like a cityscape going on. They have like some towns and houses. Wouldn't this have been nice to put before Shy Guy Bazaar to kind of like flesh out the bit? Wow, crazy, huh? Crazy. Wow. Once we leave the town area proper, what else is there? There's some pokies, I guess. And then we're just driving some more. We're just driving some more. When I get that we're in like a desolate desert area and you're probably trying to sell that, but like maybe you could have like a dry desert style pit, maybe some tornadoes wisping around, anything? Or are we just going to be driving with some like very basic Mario hazards? So as I said, the intermissions, I like it when they tease some like maybe game mechanics. You could do that. You know, we're going to Wario Stadium, so maybe you could do some like tricking area, maybe some like mini parkour areas. Okay, I'm kind of here now, I guess. Could you just fade it to black, please? Could you just fade it to black? I've already fallen asleep at the wheel. Do you know what I mean? You need to do a lot to win me over, Nintendo. So once we get to the stadium proper, that's when... Oh, hang on. And that's when it really starts to get cool. Big-ass, Wario-looking, garlicky nose. You have like an announcer on the microphone as well. You have the crowd already here. You have the music kind of like stirring up a little bit. Like, this introduction to a stage is actually really good. It's a shame that the 2 laps I played before were really fucking boring, but now that I'm finally here, you're kind of excited because you hear the music stirring up, so you're kind of just like waiting for it to begin proper. It finally kicks in, and boy, you are left with a wonderful, wonderful glow-up of N64 Warrior Stadium, complete with all of the vibes you would expect from a stadium setup, in that there's tricks, there's grinding, there's a roaring crowd. This is an amazing glow-up. This is a fantastic, fantastic glow-up. Look, you end up down this big thing. You're like, yes! Oh, big rabbit, and yeah, the fire goes up. You're like, yes! Yeah! Oh my god, that's so cool! And you're like, oh, I really can't wait to do that again. Oh, it's over. There's so many paths I want to take. We're not fading to black, are we? I don't know what Proxima Corrida means. I can't oh, okay, we're fading to black. Fim. You gave a track such a loving glow up, a philosophy behind track design that enables the player to try things in so many different ways, and yet you make me play only 1 lap. If I didn't laugh, gamers, I would cry. So are you guys seeing the general theme that's going on with the Flower Cup right now as a Y8 7th place? You should have just faded to fucking black, bro. Why am I playing the intermissions, man? But that being said, though, gamers, we're actually going to get into a good intermission. They went 1 for 3. How have they managed to do that? So you end up exiting out the stadium, and you go to this like kind of sewer-ish area where chain chomps are rolling around. I thought this one was kind of neat. It's nothing to write home about particularly, but I think it just fits the vibe. You feel like this is where Wario Stadium would take you out of, you know what I mean? Like, there's chain chomps, there's like a sewery area. It's most likely night when you're playing the stage as well. This is what Mario Kart World should have leaned into more of. Like, you see, they know where you have to come from, so they can perfectly design a track where you, the player, are gonna see. So look at this visual track. Just like immediately you hit these coins, and then boom, you're met with... Oh my gosh, is that where I'm gonna go? Is that where I'm off to? Again, teasing what's going to come ahead in terms of either game design or spectacle. So look at that. That's just a really cool visual, isn't it? You're like, I'm going... You want me to go there? Me? You sure not that guy? I have to go there? Sure, okay. And I think the racetrack as well kind of leans into that quite a bit. Again, the sky gets darker. There's ash flames, like embers. There's very few cars at this point as well. The road is even broken up as to why you have to trick down the road as well, because the road isn't even properly maintained here. This is exactly what Mario Kart World excels in, and they should lean into more perfectly. Here's the absolute best introduction to Bowserland you could have done. Do you know what I mean? You're just like, whoa. I love this little ramp, by the way. This is one of my favorite bits. Again, you could just very clearly see it's not like a proper road. It's just kind of like a hilly structure they just converted into a road, I guess. Do you know what I mean? The architecture feels very hostile. Do you know what I mean? And I just love it. I absolutely love that about this intermission. So once you do that big ramp, then you see, again, another cool visual. The fucking bombs going off. The airship right in front of you. You take one more ramp. The lead-up music is really drumming it into you. The bum ba da bum 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 ba da, and then you finally get to it. And oh my god, gamers, it's like you never left. Airship Fortress, about as good as you remember it. Especially in a game with 24 races, having a track this small is quite a nice juxtaposition from so many of the more open native tracks in this game. I think it fits perfectly. It's about as good as I remembered. It's a shame the little bar section from the tour version is gone. I also really like these little grind rails. Like, I feel like these grind rails are more like a troll opportunity than an actual sort of opportunity to grind. Does that make sense? You might not see this grind rail. You might hit the grind rail, and then because the firebar is coming your way, you might not realize and you might hit it. It feels more like it's deliberately there to trap you into a narrow path to make you hit. You know what I mean? And I've always thought that was kind of cheeky. And of course, you got the big cannon shot, which I want to be honest, chat. I just think it's kind of neat that you regain control before you land. Just something about that just makes me go, that's just kind of neat, isn't it? And then you do the big spiral turn that you've obviously know oh so well, and then you finish the lap. Wow, they did it. They made an intermission and a racetrack that it only took you. Film gamers, film. I know I've seen some people say, oh, like, I wish it was 2 laps. I wish it was 2 laps. Now, while I do wish it was 2 laps, I think considering the lead up and the actual track itself, it felt like a complete experience. Would I have liked another lap? Of course I would have. I want the intermissions to have 2 laps on the actual track. I want us to give us that option, Nintendo. But in terms of like a complete experience, I feel like I'm full. Do you know what I mean? I feel like I've had my time here. And what a nice ending. It's a shame the rest of the tracks could not follow suit. Either the racetrack was good and the intermissions were bad, or the racetrack was just straight up dookie. So, unfortunately, even though the last intermission of the racetrack were a nice finale, I just can't put you anywhere higher than 7th, my little bro. I'm going to be honest with you. Regrettably so. This is one where I regret more so putting in 7th, but I kind of have to. You will fare better when I'm ranking the tracks individually, but as a cup... So, with that out of the way, gamers, we get on to prediction number 6. What is the 6th place one, gamers? Prediction time is now open. Prediction time is now over. Let's see what you guys came up with. Oh, we've got a big tie essentially for Star and Mushroom. 1 shout for Lightning, very strange. And I can see Special Cup doing bad. I might make some enemies. I'll see when you guys give me your lists. But if you guys said Star Cup, give yourself a round of applause. Or should I say the Ice Cup? Because I'm not really seeing much stars when it comes to this one. That's for damn sure. So just to clarify, this is where we're getting into the cups that are good. This is just a case of, I want to play these cups. It's just... there's some I'd rather play more than others. Let's have a look at what we're dealing with first. We get Passagem DK, we get Starview Peak, we get Sky Sunday, and we get Wario's Galleon. Now, of course, if I was to pick one of these 4, personally, I'd rather play 3 laps of Sky Sunday. But DK Pass offers a decent start, if you ask me. So let's talk about that, shall we? DK Pass is one that I was never particularly enamored with in the original game. And in all fairness, I do kind of miss the more hostile, snowy theme of the original one. The original one kind of felt like it was in like a harshy, snowy mountain, which juxtaposed nicely from DK Summer, which felt like a very deliberate ski-type resort area, you know? So having this one be a bit more of a cozy resort, it feels like it steps on DK Summit's toes a little bit. I suppose it's kind of like a sleepier version of DK Summit. And especially considering the snowmen are kind of gone, which was probably my favorite hazard, it's a bit of a shame. Although, I say all of that, but it does have probably my favorite shortcut in the game. I'll be real with you, chat. I remember the first time I saw an NPC do this shortcut. Oh, hang on, what the... How did you do that? Hang on! Did you see that shit? What the fuck? Because obviously, if you don't know, once you're tricking, you can bounce off basically any object in the game. If you jump off this thing and bounce off this ball, it makes for a nice, cool shortcut. And I just think that is really, really, really neat. And I think they should have done more of those kinds of shortcuts, if you ask me. It kind of reminds me of the Shroom Ridge BCP shortcut, where there's just kind of like a fan down below, like blowing air. You kind of just have mushroom into it to get up. It kind of has that same energy, except it looks cooler because it looks like it's natural part of the level design, you know? Do you know what I don't like, though, chat? Do you know what I don't like it to make up for it, though? I like this ramp. Guys, I don't like this ramp here. This ramp fucking sucks. The amount of times I've been tricked by this fucking ramp. I'm mad, gamers. Don't laugh at me. Don't laugh at me. The amount of times I've seen this ramp and I want to go on it. But it's not part of it. It's part of the open world. It's part of Free Roam. But I want to go on that ramp. Put the ramp in the track, okay? I keep falling for the clickbait. Pole shortcut, amazing. This shortcut, annoying. So it kind of evens itself out, if you ask me. But DK Pass, as I said, I'd rather play 3 laps of maybe another track in this cut. But overall, a decent enough start. It's better than Desert Flat, that's for damn sure. So once we're done with DK Pass, we get into, it goes into nighttime, oh my god. We take the drive to Starview Peak. What do we think of Starview Peak? You're gonna know my opinion in a second, and it's gonna be... But the drive up to there, hang on actually, gamers. Do we have a decent intermission? Say it isn't so, gamers. First, we drive through this little nice town. It's quite nice. You got the moose, the elk, whichever animal, someone's going to correct me. And then once you get to the second lap, you drive up the mountain, which I do think is just kind of neat. I do think the road is a little too wide for my liking, but considering it's a Star Cup, maybe they should probably narrow it out a bit more. This like subversion of expectations where you're driving uphill and the Shy Guys are coming down below. It's something that only Mario Kart World can pull off, you know, as a natural hazard, you know. It's quite nice. Coupled with like the ice bros that throw ice up here as well. There's enough to keep you on your toes a bit. It's just a shame that the road is a bit too wide. Just a bit too wide for me. Narrow it down by like 10%. I think this area would be perfect. And then which leads into a very nice introduction to Starview Peak. It's just a shame that once you actually load up this racetrack, it's just really fucking okay. I've been real with you gamers. Starview Peak is just Starview. It's just Starview. It's just turns, and more turns. This has the reverse intermission issue. The intermissions are just aggressively straight. This is just turns, and not even like the kind of fun, like, yeah, the Yui kind of turns where you're like Tokyo drifting. It's just got like turns. And not to mention, it does look really pretty with this like kind of watery, like nice looking road. It's just a shame that there's another track we're going to talk about later down the line that kind of stole this and made it look way better. Which I would feel bad for Starview Peak, but then again, gamers, it did kind of steal Ice Outpost's whole flow. So it got stolen from, but also stole. You know, so yeah, I don't think the police will be called for this one. But Starview Peak doesn't really have like a shining hazard, if you ask me. Racetrack name is kind of nice. I suppose it's good that it's a Rosalina track that isn't terrible. But when the best compliment I can give you is it's not Rosalina's Ice World, but also I kind of wish it was Rosalina's Ice World because at least I'd have something to say about it. I think it makes for a track that is kind of left me wanting. And this is yet another instance where the intermission was a bit better than the racetrack itself, even though they were both just kind of hovering around the middle a bit, if you ask me. So then we get into another intermission, which is ice, and more ice. I hope you guys are not bored of ice, because we're getting into another icy road intermission. I think the problem with this cup, right, as a whole, when it comes to Star Cup, is we're getting a little harder now. But I feel like the tracks, specifically the intermissions, aren't really reflecting that in kind. Like, so for example, we get this icy cave section, which like, hey, do you want to maybe throw out some ice snakes to kind of parallel the fire snakes from the desert cave we saw last cup? Do you maybe want to have some stalactites drop down a bit, you know what I mean? And this bit, like, what do we have? We have some penguins on the road, but like, for me, they've barely ever been a hazard at all. So like, it just feels like they're not really doing enough, you know what I mean? And while the view leading up to Sky High Sunday is very, very nice, I do like that. Especially you could tell you're going downhill towards it. It is quite nice. The drive up to it is just another one where you're just like, could you have not just faded to black? Can we just fade to black? I think they just thought that driving on slippery ice was enough of a hazard and kind of left the hazards at home, I guess. Has some decent turns, I suppose. Yeah, you're right, Mad John, but there's just nothing here to win me over. Also, the transition from Sky High Sunday to Ice Track, it's just like a line on the ground. I don't know if you guys ever noticed that. And I like the fact that there's like these little towns, these little like buildings over here around the outskirts before you get into the Sky High Sunday proper. Goombas chasing you around. Again, we're kind of upping the game design chops a little bit, which is quite nice. But the lead up to Sky Sunday, pretty neat. And then we finally play the track and we're like, oh my gosh, yes. Probably one of the biggest glow-ups in like video game history. Once again, gamers, aggressively an oval. But good lord, they jam-packed this oval with just a lot of fun. Look at the amount of alternate paths you can take. It really just makes you think, why the F did they really... What? I censored myself there. Why the I will put in... Just look at this track, dog. I'm going to jail. I'm getting lock me up and throw away the keys. I will live in this track forever. The walls you can grind on, the lower path you can take, this lovely shade of green. I love everything about Sky High Sunday. Oh my god, that was so much fun. I can't wait to see the other alternate paths. There was some grind rails. Can I take the green path instead of the pink path this time? Oh, I can't wait to play more Sky High Sunday. Fim. Yeah, we bump into another FIM issue, gamers. We play a racetrack that has so many varied paths we can do, and we're going to play one lap of it. And considering the rather middling intermission we had to suffer through, playing just one lap of Sky High Sunday, FIM. Yeah, I think we know what Musty's favorite track is. Listen up. We'll talk about that when I do my course ranking, okay? We FIM Sky High Sunday, and we get to Wario's Galleon. I actually really like this one. Wow! It's almost as if you can make good intermissions when they want to, but for some reason, it's just a coin flip. And this time, gamers, we called heads, and we got heads. Allow me to demonstrate why. Firstly, reference, therefore, a nice little loving homage to Vanilla Lake here, complete with the ice blocks, the Goomba shoes. The 4-year-olds in chat will be like, I know what that is, but here's where it gets really fun, chat. Here's why I absolutely love this intermission. Lap 2 starts, the sky darkens. The walls kind of remind you of Frappe Snowland, innit? The walls are getting a lot more claustrophobic. The most brightest thing you can see, gamers, are the ice bros, ice balls that they're throwing at you. It kind of builds up a bit of intrigue, a bit of anticipation as to what's to come, and I actually love this. This is a fantastic build-up, and then when you finally jump out of the icy road, you meet the treacherous waves of Warrior's Galleon. And you see the galleon in the background. It fades into view as you get closer. The snow is still on your screen because we're still snowing a bit. Oh, the waves are ruffling. The typhoons are booming. The waves are as big as they've ever been up to any track in the game so far. Absolutely love this intermission. This perfectly treats you into what you're going to expect when you play the Galleon proper. And it lasts about as long as you'd like. It doesn't stay too long. Like, it doesn't overstay its welcome or understay its welcome. The intermission bit lasts just long enough for you to take that recognizable U-turn to play the Galleon itself proper. Now, this is a racetrack where when I first played, I think I did my first impressions, I wasn't too big on this, mainly because overwater driving just isn't that fun. But as I've kind of gotten used to tricking on the waves, I found this one to be a bit more fun than I initially gave it credit for, honestly. I actually really like the ruffly waves. As I've gotten used to tricking on them more effectively, I've kind of grown to like this one a bit. It's a shame that we will never get to see a HD version of what an underwater Warrior's Galleon could have looked like, but I do think this is a good rendition. I don't think it's better than the original, but I don't think it's worse either. I think it's an alternate take that I've actually grown to really appreciate. Honestly, I actually really like this. I think what helps is that as well, when you jump in the water, a fun mechanic to get the hang of is when you jump in the water and trick, you know, sinking back down in the water and you can use the momentum to trick again. I really like that about this one. So overall, you have an intermission that showed you what you were going to get into, and then you played the track proper. Wow, game design. Wow, crazy stuff. Thim. I feel like I got my Thim's worth, if you ask me. So with Warrior's Galleon, I feel like that was a decently solid ending. Now, I think the reason why this cup will continue to rank low is because obviously we're kind of dealing with the yo-yo effect, aren't we? The intermissions were shit. 2 of the racetracks didn't really leave me that impressed. You know, Starview Peak was just Starview okay. DK Pass, also just okay. Sky Sunday's a ton of fun, and Galleon's a ton of fun too, but you only get to play 1 lap of those. So overall, even though this cup I'm not having a bad time with this cup. As I said, the rest of these get good. This is like the lowest amount of good I'm having. Does that make sense? I didn't really talk about this. I think what also makes this cup kind of not stick out to me is I feel like there's just a bit too much ice. One thing I really like about the later cups, especially what I liked about the Flower Cup actually, is that there was 2 tracks that took place in the desert, and then we kind of left the desert for like another area. I feel like 2 tracks in the same sort of theme, I think is quite nice. I think having like all of the intermissions be icy just kind of made for like, I was just like, I've had enough of the ice, I'll be real with you. I kind of got a bit bored with the theming after a while. Maybe you could have like done different things with the ice, but I don't think there was enough variance with the ice to make the ice interesting, you know? So either way, good, but still sick, I would say. Crazy standouts on the cup. Unfortunately, Sky High is great now, but I don't think it's enough to boost the cup that high. Yeah, for me it is, but yeah, no. I think for me it's Galleon. I think Galleon is good, but not enough to boost the cup. 3 out of 4 tracks are ice. None of the tracks are ice themed. They could have split them up way better. Yeah, I would say so, honestly. I think this one's a victim of like Wild's like cohesive Wild design, and didn't really do enough to justify it, if you ask me. But either way, that's my number 6th place. So gamers, what is your prediction now? Prediction time is now closed. I think this one is probably the easiest prediction we're gonna get, because I'm seeing a lot of people say Mushroom, and I think Mushroom has definitely punched above its weight class a lot, especially considering it's managed to beat out 3 other cups. I'm quite impressed with this Mushroom Cup. So when we have a look at the Mushroom Cup, what are we getting into exactly, gamers? We have Circuit to Mario Bros. We have Mario Circuit in Crown City, Whistle Stop Summit, and DK Spaceport. A solid looking cup, but how good are they all really? Let's have a look and see how they stack up.
Say the line, Bart!
You never really start off with your best track, do you?
Yeah!
But Mario Bros. Circuit is probably up there with Mario Kart Stadium as a wonderful introduction to everything this game is going for. Instead of starting in a more, closed-off stadium, bright lights aesthetic sort of thing, you start off in a track that kind of really shows you what Mario Kart World is all about. The wide open air so you can soak in all the new weather effects, combined with the rocky terrain you can see in the background and as part of the track. And on top of that, they introduce all the gimmicks brilliantly. They have grind rails immediately, which if you're playing the game single player, like you immediately see the CPUs use them. You want to try and use that and try to get your grinding wheels wet, so to speak. So you've got quite a few opportunities to learn how the game works without them like just straight up yelling in your face about them. And I think this bit at the end also kind of exemplifies that perfectly. Because like you see this path here, you could also go around here. There's also another alternate path off to the side too. Like there's enough alternate paths to also showcase to you that, hey, listen, you might want to get a little fancy with it. Do you know what I mean? Like the world is your oyster here in Mario Kart World, and you're gonna want to use that to great effect. If you can see it, you could probably drive to it, unless it's that fucking DK pass ramp. I think this one starts off on a fantastic introduction, and I would easily say that this is up there with Mario Kart Stadium and with GCN Luigi Circuit. Are you happy to film this, Fim? I'm happy to film. I'm glad we chose another language. I don't know why, gamers. I'm glad we chose another language. Once we're done with Mario Circuit, we get to the intermission as we drive to Crown City. We're driving to tracks, craziness, game design, roads, open on the highway, born to be wild. Oh yeah, hamburger. I love me a hamburger. We're up on the upper Goombas. They got Goombas. Yes, we got a tour bus. We got a tour bus, gamers. We got a tour bus. We've got dash panels, I guess. I think you kind of know what I'm getting at, right? In the sense that you would kind of hope the first intermission would kind of give you a bit more meat to chew on. But yeah, this is just basically baby's first intermission. Let's be real here. You're driving on the open road, the open asphalt road, picking up Yoshis wherever you can get them. It's not the best, but I can understand why it's not, because again, they just kind of have to...
Say the line, Bart.
You never really start off with your best intermission, do you?
Yeah!
I think I alluded to what I like about this Crown City track earlier. When it comes to city tracks, the one gimmick you kind of associate with city tracks are traffic, right? Now, considering you just drive through 2 laps of traffic, having a city track that was traffic based would have just been kind of like a bit anticlimactic. So instead, what you end up doing for your entirety in Crown City lap 3 is you end up driving along the less constructed areas. You end up driving up and up and up as high as you could possibly go on the more uncharted areas of the city. But I quite like it. You got these like girders in the air. The roads are quite twisty because you're not really supposed to be there. I really quite like this, honestly. I think it's a fantastic showcase of the intermissions or what they can do when they really try. Uncharted referenced. Something the game hasn't forced upon you yet is grinding. You may have seen the CPUs use it in Mario Bros. Circuit and want to imitate it yourself. Or if you're feeling otherwise anxious and didn't want to mess up your first place run, you didn't have to. Crown City does a brilliant job of showcasing the new mechanic without imposing on the player too much, but in such a way where it's unavoidable. You'll see the path go extremely narrow, pick a lane, and then you realize, whoa, you can grind. What the hell? This is the game saying, listen, you can really get wacky with this. You can get wacky burger. Just like the Toad. You can get a bit wacky burger, okay? So don't be afraid to really get imaginative with it, okay? Don't be afraid to really try and learn how it goes. I think the ending bit is quite nice in the sense that you end up just gliding across the whole city. Again, can you drive low? Can you drive high? At this point, you might figure out that driving into poles gives you a trick as well. I didn't think I figured that out quite yet. But again, you have a nice ending where you end up gliding over the city as well. Quite nice, and I would say a worthy film. A very worthy film, if I do say so myself. What do you guys think of this? There should be a chance that if you play with a heavyweight, you break the glass panels and fall down. I mean, considering those heavyweight cars end up bullying the lightweights, I think it'd be like a nice, risk-reward sort of thing. I think I agree with that, honestly. I never knew Nintendo would actually make me miss the usual loading screens from any other game with some of these. A bit of a shame, eh? Now, obviously, once we're leaving Crown City, we drive on more road, gamers. More road. We've got more road, and more road. This bit. Oh my god, gamers, I remember this bit. It does the thing I love so much. What's the thing I've been talking about, gamers? Flashback. I think one thing I really like about intermissions is when they kind of tease a gimmick that the racetrack is leading up to is going to showcase. So we're getting to the second lap. Trains! You might learn here that you can grind on the train. There it is! Yeah! Oh, he's grinding, gamers. He's grinding. A bit of a teaser as to what's to come. If you didn't learn it from the Crown City bit, the game's kind of forcing it upon you, but it's like, look, we're seeing it in real time, chat. He figured out you could grind, so now we have a bit more of an opportunity to do so, and the game's just kind of giving you more opportunities to grind. I love that. I love that about Whistle Stop Summit. You get slowly over time, the game's just trying to push you. The game's trying to push you. Come on, grind. This bit here as well, I don't know if you guys know, you can jump left, you can jump right. You can do so much cool stuff with the grinding. I don't know if it's technically faster or not. I have no idea if you're asking me, but I really like that. I also really like the fact that because it's nice, long and straight, you can kind of repeatedly trick on the grind rails. I don't know if you guys have tried that before, but the repeated tricking is kind of cool on this bit. Everything about this racetrack is brilliant. You got the grinding, you got the multiple paths that Mario Kart World kind of pushes you to be a bit creative about. Plenty of shortcut opportunities too. Big fan of this one. I might not be much of a train guy, But listen, maybe you autistics kind of know what you're talking about, gamers. I don't know. Maybe you guys got a good thing going on over there. A good film was had by all and pooped, gamers. So after we're done with the Whistle Stop Summit, we what is this, was it? We partida towards the last track, which is, oh my god. I think it starts off initially just quite okay, to be honest. I'm a bit more okay with them not really introducing too many hazards because the road is actually quite narrow on this bit because you're kind of like descending down the cliff. And again, not the best intermission, but it kind of gets the job done, especially when in the second lap, you get a decent view of like what's to come. You're like, what's over there? It kind of like piques your interest a little. It's like, where are we going? Banana? And once you get a bit closer, you see it proper. Look at that, gamers. That is unabashedly a reference to the thing. So, gamers, would it be crazy if I said top 10 track in the entire series? That'd be too crazy, right? Especially love how the Mecha DK kind of roars at you and climbs up to the top, just like that one game that we all recognize so much. Best ending you could probably ask for in a cup, because each lap kind of does something a bit different. You get to one lap, you're dodging barrels. You get to another lap, you're dodging barrels, but sideways. Another one, you're grinding to your heart's content. Next lap, what are we doing? We're getting wool ridey with it, gamers, before we end up going to the final duel with the big man himself. These giant barrels are a bit harder to dodge than you might think, honestly. They're quite big. They've ruined a game or two of mine, that's for damn sure. It's like, it feels like a boss fight in Mario Kart form, do you know what I mean? Something they haven't done since Mario Kart DS. All the changing gameplay is amazing. Another thing that just wins me over in this regard is the music. It starts off with a big band intro to get you swinging, before the music takes on a bit more of a low-key tone. Changing in instrumentation as you ascend the spaceport. By the time the barrels are going sideways, you got a piano. One extra lap, we got some brass in there. And how about some rock for your troubles? Before we conclude in the most powerful way we can, the iconic hammer theme, which in all honesty, I kind of associate more with Smash than I do Donkey Kong. There's no other theme that would be more appropriate for this epic boss battle. The music fitting so well is yet another feather in the cap of this amazing racetrack. Easily one of the best cup enders to ever do it. It's almost as if when you're doing this whole intermission racetrack thing, you could craft it to feel like a bit of a story and narrative. You could say, a world. Oh my god, good film, gamers, good film. I think with easily one of the best cup enders in the entire series. Some intermissions that, while some of them were okay, you have the whistle stop one, which I thought was pretty good, but the others are just kind of, But most importantly, gamers, and I think this is why Mushroom Cup ranks this high, none of the tracks left me wanting. I played each of the tracks, and I felt like I got a complete experience. Something that cannot be said with any of these three cups. And I think as a result, the Mushroom Cup happily takes place in its 5th place spot, I would say. It's a really, really good first impression that unfortunately the other 3 cups immediately after absolutely don't follow up on. How sad is that? Huh? How fucking sad is that? Now we're getting into the ones where I'm definitely playing these cups. Like definitely playing. These are the ones where I'm like, yeah, I'm here. I'm here for it, and I will be queer for it. Well, what's the one that I'd probably go out with the least? I'll call up the others, and if the others aren't available, then I guess I'll go out with it, I suppose. Make your predictions now. Banana, flower, lightning, banana, special. We got a nice mix, but I'm seeing a lot of banana. A good ton of banana. I want to keep slandering special just to be different. You guys guessed. The Banana Cup. Give yourself a round of applause. Now, just to be clear, between this and the 3rd place spot is very, very close. But if I had to distinguish between the pair of them, I would say Banana is the 4th place. Just about misses the winner's podium, I would say. So let's have a look at what we got here. We got Peach Beach, Salty Speedway, Down Jungle, and Great Question Block Ruins. We start with Peach Beach, which if you're going to start with any one of them, you know what? I don't mind starting off with Peach Beach, if I'm being honest. I think it's pretty cool. They were just like, hey, let's just turn Peach Beach into like not a beach. Let's just do that for some reason. I think this is one of those tracks where I don't think any of us were particularly asking for Peach Beach to be different, but they just did, and we're just kind of like, hey, do you know what? I kind of fuck with it. I remember the first time I went this way, just like, well, hang on. Whoa, hang on. Where are we going, gamers? We're getting into the nice pink-looking beach area, except it's not really a beach, it's just more of a resort-ish kind of looking area. You got like a town area with like shops, I'm guessing, and houses, multiple paths, the kind of thing you expect from a Mario Kart World track, and I think it pulls it off reasonably well. I do like this big open area with the giant buildings on either side. I don't know, there's something about being flanked on either side by buildings or like anything that just gets my goat chat. It's the same with the Warriors Galleon intermission, and it's the same here now. It's just quite nice. What kind of brings this one down a bit is the ending section here. Once again, over water driving doesn't quite win me over, if I'm being honest. And considering the road is just open and there's just nothing really to do, a bit of a shame. You get the Shy Guy speedboats, I guess, but I don't really think there's enough of them to entice me over. So I think that's the general theme of this cup, that like, while it's good, there's just one too many things that just makes me go, But then we move our way towards Salty Speedway. Obviously we've got Gamers Catacracks, therefore yeah, so I feel like Peach Beach into Salty Speedway, while I think it obviously makes sense with the cohesiveness of Mario Kart World, I feel like theming-wise, they step on each other's toes just a little bit too much, you know? I think if Peach Beach was the standard, like, beach fare that we expected, and then we drive from a beach area to, like, a beach vacation sort of town area, like Salty Speedway is trying to be, I'd be like, oh, that's kind of neat, eh? But I feel like we had an area that was beach resort sort of town area, and then we get into another beach-y sort of resort town area that you drive on water again. And I'm just kind of like, even though there's differences enough to kind of make them unique, at least in an individual context, I think driving from one straight to driving to another, I'm just kind of like,
It's f***ing Mario Kart again!
yeah, it works well as a cohesive cup, but to race on, I'm just kind of like, I would have liked something different, you know? I would have liked something different. It's like I ordered a pepperoni pizza, and then the next day we ordered pepperoni pizza again, you know? I would have liked something different. Maybe like an American, you know? Like maybe even a burger. Could we have a burger? You know? That would have been quite nice. So that's kind of how I feel about Salty Speedway. It feels like Peach Beach the sequel, if you're asking me. But once we're done with Peach Beach the sequel, oh, I like this. See, now this is an intermission that I think is quite solid, gamers. So once again, I think the second lap, they start to signal to you, okay, now we're getting into like weird territory. Do you know what I mean? Like the trees are looking a bit more prehistoric than you remember. And I think it transitions nicely from Salty to Dino with this like giant ass waterfall section. I love it. There's something about like a running water section that's trying to like ruin our forward momentum by like skewing us one way. I think it's just kind of nice game design. I like it when they did it in Koopa Cape. I like it when they did it in Yoshi Falls. I like it when they did it in Faraway Oasis. And I also like it here. It's just a level design thing that I always think is kind of neat. Oh, gamers, I don't think we're in the Mushroom Kingdom anymore. Good lord, what is happening up there? Oh no, gamers. It's Jurassic Park. Oh my god. I know what that is. Oh, I watched it with my dad once. I love Jurassic Park, but I don't like Jurassic World. That was woken back. I actually have no idea what I'm talking about, everybody. Yeah, that's it. It's a lovely transition into the next section where you actually get to see the dinos proper stomping on the road. You see them flying all above. You know, see, that ends up working in both a spectacle sense and a gameplay sense. Wow. It's almost as if, gamers, we've created a Mario Kart World. So once they tease the gimmick to you, as they should, and then you end up racing on it proper, and you're like, whoa, okay, now we're down in the jungle, the music's kicked in, we got Mr. fucking Stegosaurus on the track, we get the stomping guys once again, and we get that triple path section from the original track as well. Pick your poison, where exactly do you want to go. You can grind on one of their backs as well, which is just kind of fucking neat. And then you get to what was usually the cave section in the original Dino. It's now like a research center, which I think is a really nice, well done alternative to the cave. I really like this a lot. I don't know if anyone's ever. Am I the only one? Am I the only one that really likes this like research center area? It really does feel like the world at hand wanted to research the dinosaurs, so they made like a research center. And then while they were researching the dinosaurs, oh, one of them broke out. God damn, he's mad! He's mad, gamers, and he's gonna stomp around and ruin everyone's day. And then exactly. Do you see what I mean? Theming-wise, it's perfect. Like literally, one of them breaks out of containment and starts stomping around. Oh boy, gamers! I wonder if in the next intermission you're still gonna see him stomping around. Wow! I wonder if that's what they're gonna lead into. But either way, gamers, I think I had a very good film. Oh my god! I felt like I'm full and not left wanting in the slightest. Good job, Dana Jungle. I kind of wish the shortcut in the lab was still a dangerous ramp like in the original. It's quite nice. I do wish that too. It's a bit of a miss, but I think the theming just wins me over so well. The lead up to Dana Jungles and the racetrack proper, absolutely adorable. Oh my god, there! Whoa, he's there! He's still running around and causing trouble! Obviously, if you drive fast enough, you can avoid him, but if you're still back of the pack, you end up having to contend with this stompy-ass ways, or just getting Mario Kart like this person had. One nice little bit of cohesion. It almost makes you feel like you're in a Mario Kart World! I think it transitions to another track where theming-wise, I enjoy. I think Starlight in the chat said he didn't really mind the fact that Peach Beach led into Salty Speedway, because like theming wise it was quite cohesive. For me, that jungle was supposed to be like prehistoric and like old timey. You lead into another prehistoric ancient ruins. Absolutely fantastic theming, if you ask me. This is something that really makes the world feel cohesive. Last two tracks of these couple more of like a prehistoric ancient theme about it, and I absolutely adore that. And then we get into the racetrack proper, which I'll be honest gamers, I didn't really think much of this racetrack when I first played it. I thought it was just okay, but this is one of those tracks where the more I've played it, the more I've absolutely fallen in love with it. Now, I'm aware that there's some crazy shortcuts in this track, none of which I can do, but just on a racetrack front, I absolutely adore this one. I think that this is the one where they demand the most of you in terms of skill and in terms of using your brain box. Not only do you get like these really sharp turns as well, I've had to brake drift on some of these turns. Look how close this player was to driving on the grass. You know what I mean? Like, you really have to be able to turn perfectly to make sure you hit that turn. The road opens up here too. Choose your path. Where do you want to go? You can choose multiple paths of either gliding or grinding, or even just keeping it relatively neutral if you want to. Absolutely love this open area before it kind of converges into this section as well. The fact that people to this day are still finding new paths in that area just goes to show the creativeness of this game and this track as a whole. One final U-turn to maybe secure your legacy, and I think it leads into a nice track where, admittedly, I will admit, chat, I am left a little wanting. I would have liked it if I could play another lap of this one. But overall, I had a good time here, you know what I mean? I think this works for one lap, because even though the crazy stuff kind of hidden, not obvious on a first playthrough, so you're not wanting another lap, I suppose you're not wrong. I suppose, like, on a first playthrough, you're not left wanting. But considering I played these cups, like, 5 times each, when I play that, I kind of just want another lap now. Does that make sense? On repeat playthroughs, I'm kind of like wanting more laps. So it's one of those things that makes this cup not rank as high as the others. Combined with Peach and Salty Speedway kind of stepping on each other's toes a bit. Combine that with like Great Question Block Ruins being a great ending, but making me want just a little bit more. I think that is what makes the Banana Cup in 4th place. As I said, we're getting into the really good shit here. Just want to remind you again. But yeah, definitely ranks 4th place. And now we're getting into our top 3 gamers. 3 more contenders battling out for 1st place. Who will be the one that gets the bronze medal? Make enter your predictions now. We've got Leaf or Special, Lightning, Special, Leaf. I'm seeing a bit of Leaf. I'm seeing a bit of Lightning. I'm seeing a bit of an equal mix of all 3, if I'm being honest. It seems like no one knows what I'm going to pick, which is nice, because
I'm gonna shuffle them around last minute, yeah. I'm gonna shuffle them around last minute just to stress you all out.
If you guys guessed the Leaf Cup, give yourself a round of applause. We have Cheap Fools, Dandelion Death, Boo Cinema, and Dry Bones Burnout. A really solid cup here. Oh my god. So we start off with Cheap Fools, which personally, if we're looking at this cup, I don't really mind starting it. Get into that to start with. And hang on, gamers, hang on. There's no way, gamers. There's no way they actually did it right. There's no way they actually made driving on water fun. Having a section where you're kind of like driving downhill, kind of fast paced, and you have to avoid the cheaps, and there's some corners you can take. Wow, hang on. You guys can actually do fun, and then there's some grind rails as well, some tricking opportunity. Wow, you guys can actually do fun stuff with the fucking water? Oh my, where was that? 5 cups ago? Like, this is like one of the very few instances. Like, Warriors Galleon was solid enough, but it's like the only section where I'm playing on over water bit where I'm actively having fun, because it's just really fun to like drive down these rapids where there's water gushing from either sides and the cheaps are jumping out as well, so you kind of want to avoid the middle, but you also want to grind as well. You also want to get an iron box. There's like enough decision making and things you have to think of where I'm having a lot of fun on the water bit. The rest of the track also is pretty solid, but I want to be honest, the main meat and potatoes of Cheap Falls is the actual Falls. I actually adore this. I adore this. And while the Place Japan stuff, or might be winning some of you losers over, for me the theming is nice, but again, it's just the driving. It's just the driving, I'll be honest. The idea and the driving is what wins me over. What kind of jokes in gamers? Oh my gosh. Can I get some more? Can I get some? Are we filming? I'm gonna film? Oh, gamers, I didn't want to film. I wanted more. Can I get more? I want more, man. I want more. Fantastic start, gamers. Well, why is it only in 3rd, Musty? Why is it only in 3rd, Musty? You killed my parents when you put this in 3rd. Calm down, person I just made up. Once again, gamers, say it with me. Do you know that thing, gamers? You could introduce the gimmick of the track on the 2nd lap. so we can play it on the 3rd. I don't really think it does much of that, unfortunately. But Dandelion Depths itself is a track I kind of like, to be honest. Is it anything to write home about? I wouldn't say in particular, but I think the Depths part itself is just really, really, really cool. Oh my god, look at this visual. Look at this. The light shimmering down from above, the dandelions themselves, touch fuzzy, get dizzy. Yeah, I quite like the way this one looks, but I think Dandelion Depths, while it does look nice and I enjoy playing it, this is part of the track that I had to play the most, chat, if you're curious, because I don't really have a take on Dandelion Depths. And if you're wondering, this is the reason why it ranks in 3rd. Dandelion Depths, while it's a nice looking track and I like it, it's not really something that like I'm particularly enamored by. With Cheep Cheep Falls, I love the rushing waterfall section. It's so good. It's so good. I love it. I want to play it right now thinking about it. When I think about Dandelion Depths, I'm like, it's cool, but I'm like, yeah, it's just cool. It's just cool, really. You know, it's like the margarita pizza of Mario Kart tracks. I could go for a margarita pizza. Am I ordering a margarita pizza, though? No. I'll eat one. If you ordered one, I'll have it. It's nice theming-wise, and the uphill part with the speed pads kind of reminds me of Rock Mountain, which I thought was quite nice. But yeah, this is just some pure, simple margarita pizza fun, you know? It's just kind of neat. I would order a margarita. But remind me not to go to an Albert Boris party, okay? Because we're ordering pepperoni whether you fucking like it or not, okay? You are going to eat meat on your pizza whether you like it or not, young lady. Is the next track, gamers, that main course? Hello? Okay, I'll tell him. I'll let the chat know. I'll let the chat know the good news. Gamers, we might be having another good intermission. Oh my god. I know. It's crazy. It's because while the first lap is not really too much to write home about, when we get off the asphalt, you know, more paved over roads into the darker roads, that's where I'm like, oh shit, where are we going? Ooh, okay, interesting. Oh my gosh. All right, so again, into the more spooky road. I just love this. Like I said, the pillars like absolutely covered in leaves as well to indicate how much it's aging. The trees blocking out any sort of light as well. This build up into the Boo Cinema feels like actually amazing. It genuinely isn't much on a racetrack front, but this road leading up to it just feels really sick. And the peepers as well, running on the road. You know what the funniest bit about these peepers are, chat? You could just drive through them. Which I think, to me, is really fucking funny. Do you know what I mean? You can just drive it. They're not hazards, gamers. They're just floating around. And just like, you know, and you drive through them, you're like, oh, hang on. Right, they're ghosts. Of course I can drive through them. Even though it actively makes the track worse because they're not obstacles. To me, I just think that's really funny. You just took the wrong turn off the road. You're like, oh shit, do I ask for directions? Roll your windows up, gamers, roll your windows up. We're kind of going to a bad part of town here. And that's exactly what this kind of gives to me. I'm going to say the word, gamers. I'm going to say the words. I'm going to say it. It's charming. Look at this lovely silhouette. Again, the fact that they can account for where you're coming from is just so cool. Again, just like with the airship fortress visual, they got a nice visual here. You can see this. Look at this. It's just like, it feels like an old abandoned church instead of a cinema with a giant like pointed kind of spire thing going on. I absolutely love this visual, which is neat, and it kind of drops down into, oh my god, guys, you play a section of Ghost Valley 1? Oh my god! A nice SNES tracks. Oh my god, the 4-year-olds are going pog right now. And then you get into the Boo Cinema itself. Now, I'll be honest, the racetrack itself, I'm not that big a fan of. But in a cup format, this is one that I absolutely adore. Again, you've taken the wrong drive up the road. You've seen those peepers kind of chilling. You see a lovely reference to Ghost Valley. And then it turns out you're the cinema. You're not going to watch a film. You're in the film. Ooh, it kind of just adds up to a perfect cup. And then you get those jump scares as well from those giant boos. Boo Cinema is a track that doesn't really enamor me personally, but everything leading up to it is just brilliant. You could almost say, gamers, it's absolute cinema. You could almost say. You're not watching the film. You're in the film. So what's the cut and print? We're going platinum, gamers. We're going gold. Now it's your turn to leave the cinema, leave exit stage left, to wrap up the lap. Honestly, I think this is amazing. I think this is brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And a FIM, gamers. A FIM, if I've ever had it. As a racetrack, and when I do my course ranking, spoiler alert, can't say I'm too big on this one. But in a intermission cup format, I absolutely love Boo Cinema. I think it's great. This is an intermission that I enjoy with a finale that I think was quite nice. After we're done with a trip to the cinema, we end up going, where do we end up going? I really like the fact that in order to get the Dry Bones burnout, you kind of drive a little bit through like what looks like Acorn Heights, like this Acorn Heights kind of looking area. I don't know if on the map this literally is, but I like the fact that you drive through like a different sort of foresty area on your way to Dry Bones Burnout. It not only is a nice way to change up the visuals, but it really makes you feel like a... I'm not going to say it, guys. Finish the sentence for me. Finish the sentence for me. Once again, we've gone to the wrong part of town. Bomb cars aplenty. Dry bones abound. I don't know if this guy's going to show it, gamers, but if you drive along the sides, you can literally see the dry bones like poking their arm out of the ground and coming back up and shambling out. And it's just like, what the... Gah! Comes out of the ground to jump scare you. You're in, oh, turf now, big boy. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. I like it so much. It feels like a natural hazard that this track just would have. Of course, a track called Dry Bones Burnout is going to have lots of dry bones. It kind of transitions us nicely into the track proper when we get this nice Dia de los Muertos quite theming as well. I don't know why they decided to do that, but I guess it kind of makes sense, right? Dry bones are kind of dead. Let's make it inspired by Day of the Dead. Wow! I am a big fan of this racetrack. Having a game with 24 players and the chaos that entails, having a track with like multiple paths to kind of split up the players to kind of just explore the area, I think while it might not be the most compelling game design, I think it really, really works well for this track. I think having like maybe one or two of this archetype of track works extremely well. And it feels like every time I race on this, I'm finding a different path. And when the track is kind of built around finding multiple paths and like splitting up the players, you just want it to feel like you haven't explored the whole thing. That's a very, very good feeling. And considering the lead up to this track was quite nice, now, as I've said before, a track having multiple paths kind of leaves me wanting because I want to explore more paths, I want to explore more, right? But considering the lead up to this was kind of nice theming wise, I don't feel like I was left wanting with this one. I would have liked another lap, but I don't feel like I was left wanting another lap. Does that make sense? It's more of a, it would be nice if I could change the settings, but I'm okay with just the one lap, honestly. So this was a pretty good film, if I do say so. Good film, honestly, good film. Not as good a cup ender as some of the other ones, but a pretty solid cup ender nonetheless, I would say. So you have a starter track that's like one of my favorites in the entire game. A track that just kind of is just margarita pizza. Good, but that's kind of it. A track that really excels in the cup format, with an ending that I would say, while it's not the best cup ender, is a pretty damn solid cup ender. And I think it's earned its spot as the bronze medal. Honestly, I think it's earned its spot, gamers. I'll be real with you. Is it going to be lightning or is it going to be special? I'm going to change my mind last minute and there's nothing you can do about it. Oh, if you guys guessed. If you guys get special. Of course, this is going to be maybe a little controversial because it does have an amazing Rainbow Road. It certainly does. But a Rainbow Road does not a cup make. You have 3 other tracks that have to impress me. And while it is an amazing cup, second place, I think, is about where it deserves. So let's take a look at where we're going first. Am I the only one, gamers? Am I the only one who thinks Acorn Heights is one of the best cup starters ever made? Like, ever? I absolutely love this track. I think if there's one thing I absolutely adore about it, if you take the right-hand grind path over here, you have to, like, jump up to like hit the ramp, otherwise you end up falling over. Do you know what it reminds me of, gamers? It reminds me of the little jump you have to do in Donut Plains 3 in Super Mario Kart, which, oh my god, gamers, was also the first track in the Special Cup. Oh my god. Are you noticing things, gamers? Are you noticing things? Also, I think it makes excellent use of like the multiple paths sort of thing that this game has to offer. You can glide, you can trick off the leaves, you can grind on the petals. It just feels great, to be honest. I will say this area over here, maybe a bit too open. I would have liked if there was maybe a bit more acorns coming down. Again, when the Special Cup, you can like up the hazard quota just a little bit. Instead of updating the multiplayer to ruin it, could you maybe update the multiplayer to add more acorns, please? There's just giant squirrels that need those acorns. Okay, they need them indeed. We need more nuts. But overall, the theming is amazing, and the Mario Kart World additions really shine in this course, I would say. So once we're done with a pretty solid cup starter, if I do say so myself, we end up leaving the Acorn Heights to go to... Could have just gone somewhere else, maybe. I get it, SNES track. You have to. Oh, SNES track. Oh, like you couldn't have just like put it somewhere else. Damn. anywhere else. Like, it's good. Like, it's good. It's good. No, I like it. You could have just, like, maybe, like, a lightning cup or, like, a wave cup. Like, leave it, because obviously it's special, isn't it? So, like, you want the special cup to have, like, some of the harder tracks in the game. And it's, like, really sell me. You know, it's the final cup of the game. You unlock it as well. Am I really going to get excited to unlock Mario Circuit? Do you know what I mean? Like, you couldn't have something else. I know you're good. I know you listen. We'll talk about this later. Okay. So exiting Acorn Heights into the pretty decent section, if you ask me. Nothing to write terribly home about. But I just quite like this. I just like the aesthetic. I'm gonna be honest. I just like the Acorn Heights aesthetic. I just like how green it is. I feel like I'm out at Boris, gamers. I feel like I've become out at Boris. I like how green it is, I'll be honest. I just like forests, I guess. How many tracks in the Mario Kart series, guys, have people declared a waste of a slot? Listen, I know, it's a Mario Circuit. You're supposed to be here. Did you have to be in the Special Cup, though? But if it was gonna be in the Special Cup, I do like the fact that it's all 3 Mario Circuits put into one. And I did say all 3 because if Nintendo are going to pretend Mario Circuit 4 doesn't exist, I am going to pretend Mario Circuit 4 doesn't exist, okay? I don't really like the use of the giant tall red arrows to, like, guide you areas. I suppose it's better than nothing, I suppose, but... I mean, there's not really too much to say about Mario Circuit, right? I think it certainly looks way better than it did in the BCP. Let's be real here. I think its addition in this game is nice, and it just goes to show you how much they really... love the Super Mario Kart game, honestly. Could you have maybe given us a GBA track? It's kind of cool that you go back to the fundamental basic of Mario Kart right before the final 2 tracks of the game. Yeah, I'm not too attached to this one either. I suppose you're right, Jules. I'm going to steal your analysis and use it as my own. But one thing I do actually like about this intermission, once again, I mentioned before that it was nice that you saw Acorn Heights on your way to Dry Bones Burnout. And I also think it's kind of neat how you drive under Moo Meadows to get to Peach Stadium, huh? I just like seeing other tracks as we go to another thing, and it's kind of a nice way to break up the intermission to make it feel like a connected world. We say hello to the cows before we move on to the stadium proper. Other than the fact that it's nice that you drive under Moo Meadows, I can't say I'm particularly in love with this intermission, but it is better than the other Peach Stadium intermission, that's for damn sure. You get to, like, what I would call the plaza just outside the stadium. This feels like the area where people would kind of huddle up before, like, you end up going to the stadium proper. Do you know what I mean? Like, most stadiums, like, in the world have, like, kind of an area where you can get, like, food and concessions before you end up going there proper. So I quite like the fact that this area kind of exists. It's kind of neat. A lot of food stands as well. It fits the cohesiveness of the... But you take the nice pink road dash panel-ish drive, which lasts a bit longer than I'd personally like, into Peach Stadium, which I feel like if this was Mario Kart 8, this would be an anti-gravity track. But this is one of those tracks that kind of does a bit of anti-gravity chicanery without, like, kind of advertising it, you know? At least that's what it feels like to me. I don't think it was just me that was tricked by how deceptively short this road gets, right? Why does it get this small? It almost feels like a scaling issue. I'm like, why is it this small now? And it immediately goes back to being big. That fucked me up the first time. I think it still kind of fucks me up. Which, considering it's a special cup track, kind of like, I kind of fuck with that. I kind of fuck with the tricky energy. Although I will say, one thing that kind of lets me down about this is that, once again, it's Peach Stadium, and I don't really still feel like I'm in a stadium. You know, it would have been nice to have, like, this finale stadium kind of blowout track before we get into the mystique of Rainbow Road. The theme has been wasted kind of twice here, and especially because I love Mario Kart Stadium. I think the theming really sells me on that. Like, it feels like a grandiose stadium. But they could have just called this Peach Circuit, or even Peach Circuit World. Think of Mario Kart Stadium. Think of even the stadium, what's it, like the gym battles in the Galar region in Pokemon Sword and Shield, right? The trees. Think about that, for example. That feels like a stadium, you know? So I feel like even though the racetrack is a lot of fun, don't get me wrong, the theming is kind of wasted, which I think annoys me just that extra bit more because it's a Special Cup track. When you're in the Special Cup, you really have a chance to, like, finalize these concepts and give me the most concentrated 4 tracks that really get my go. So the fact that the theming kind of leaves me wanting is just a bit of a shame, honestly. It really, really is a shame. So as far as I'm concerned, the middle 2 tracks kind of leave me wanting in certain areas by either feeling out of place or just not fitting the theme too well. But I don't think that really bothers me too much, considering it leads into the final track in the game, which, honestly, the first time I played this game I think it's safe to say it was quite magical, right? It was quite magical when we went to the road for the first time. The Rainbow Roads. I like the fact that you start off on your glider on this one as well. It's quite a nice touch. But you end up driving towards what would otherwise be Koopa Beach. Instead, you end up seeing the rainbow light up ahead. It's just teasing you. It's just welcoming you in. It's just whispering to you, come hither. The road has returned. The road that's been gone for years is finally back. And about time too. And this time, we're in the mood. So when you finally ascend, I think one nice touch as well is that the UI just completely goes. So it really makes you feel like you're going somewhere else. Do you know what I mean? You're like, where am I going? Oh, and then We're here. Holy. Amazing. Amazing. We got flashbang, don't we? And Rainbow Roads, I think I mentioned this before, but I think overall when it comes to this Rainbow Roads, while on a difficulty front, it definitely leaves me wanting. I definitely do miss the eras of Rainbow Roads being this really tough finale challenge. But in the context of this game and the spectacle that has on offer, I can't say I'm not having a smile on my face every single time I play this track. It is just an absolute joy to look at, and it is absolutely beautiful in that regard. The first lap just being your standard Rainbow Road, I think works kind of well. It gets your rainbow feelings going real quick. Before we get into the next section, which is straight from Starview Peak. It's a shame that they stole Starview Peak's whole ass flow, right? Damn, it's a bunch of it's just forced soul, isn't it, past me? It's just forced soul, isn't it? I think the music on each section really sells you, because I think the music becomes a bit more muted, a bit more mellow over here too. Once again, I still don't find overwater driving that compelling, I'm gonna be honest with you. But like, to look at, good lord, look at the lumas around, the blue trees as well. And I think if there's one thing I really like too, which I didn't notice the first time or even the second time I played it, I never noticed how fast I was driving on this bit. Now, we'll talk about this later, but there's this extra mechanic they added where, like, you can see the engines are blue here, right? You can see it's blue, gamers, which indicates you're driving extra fast. You can see the action lines as well. You actually, even though the road is quite long and windy, it's getting a bit more narrow, and since the game forces you to drive a lot faster than you're supposed to be, it's quite neat. Again, is it really much to go on a difficulty front? Not really, but you're blue now. That's this road's attack. Second section, I'll be honest, bit okay. But then you get into what I call Mario Kart 8 times 2 as we go to another space station chat. Probably my favorite section in this entire thing. I absolutely love the way this looks. I don't know what it is. I just love the colors on it. And then you drive onto the space station itself, which just... I love it. I absolutely love everything to do with this. The rainbow thwomps akin to the SNES Rainbow Road. These really tough turns that you have to be careful. Remember, your wheels are still blue, by the way. Your engines are still blue, so you're still driving at faster speed, right? So I quite like how tough it is, relatively speaking. This is the bit which kind of gives me that toughness I was looking for from a Rainbow Road, and I was really hoping the last bit would sell, which really kind of bring it home. And while they didn't bring it home on a difficulty front, it kind of goes back to being relatively simple again. I'd be remiss, gamers, if I didn't mention the fact that the train appears. We do love the train, don't we, gamers? With all the friends you've met along the way. And while playing the Cup 5 times for the sake of this review, might have made the spectacle I saw the first time kind of wear off. It is just really neat seeing that train. And it's one of those things that, whether you're in first place or last place, you get to see different parts of the train that you otherwise wouldn't. Like, I remember being like in the middle of the pack, you see the tree. A tree from Acorn Heights makes on the train. How neat is that? This bit, again, it would have been nice if they rounded out the difficulty. You know, they made it more difficult in the space station section. Would have been nice if they rounded it out here. But this bit kind of goes for more speed, you know? And considering how wide the roads are, you're not really going to fall off, if I'm being honest with you. It's not really that much of a fall-off thing. You're definitely going for spectacle with this Rainbow Road. And I think they sold it. And I think it is a fantastic ending. But again, just to clarify, not as difficult as I'd like it. And it's the reason why it's in second place mostly. Because the difficulty just isn't really there for me. I fucking love it. Oh man, Fim? Gamers, I think we had a Fim, didn't we? I would say the middle of this cup kind of lets it down a little bit. I would say Mario Circuit definitely feels like a why are you here? Peach Circuit, while it's a fun track to race on, the theming kind of lets me down. The Rainbow Road is an absolute spectacle to race on, but again, once again, leaves me a tiny bit wanting on the difficulty front. So even though this cup is fantastic and I absolutely love to play it, it's not as perfect as I would like. I don't think there's any use of doing a prediction to... Your number one pick for this evening, and Musty's favorite cup in the game, is Lightning. Lightning? Lightning. I love me some Lightning, gamers. Really? Oh boy. Oh, you guys aren't gonna like me for that. Oh, really, Musty? Really? No, Musty, really? No! No, Musty, you can't disagree with me, Musty. You fell off. I wanna be honest, guys. While the start might be a bit uninspired, we'll talk about it, gamers. So if we start off with, do you guys want Moo Meadows again? It could have been Moo Farms. It could have been Moo Moo Munchkins. They could have just made up something new. Do you know what I mean? It could have been something new, you're right. I think if there's one thing I absolutely love about this cup is the escalation. This is probably the only cup in the game, I'd say, that tells a decently compelling story. Because we start off with the easiness of working at the farm on Moo Moo Meadows. I think we kind of ramp our way up to the finale. I absolutely love this about this cup, and I think starting off on Moo Moo Meadows, considering where we end up at the very end of it, is actually really, really neat, to be honest. I think it serves as a simple but pretty great start. Could have been Daisy Hills. Daisy no skills, maybe? That's what I thought. That's what I thought, loser. Can't go wrong with Moo Moo Meadows. You could have gone right, but you can't go wrong neither. I think it's a decent enough start. Decent enough start, was that? So after we're done with Moo Moo Meadows, we drive on to the next big gamers, which is Choco Mountain. I think if you guys remember my first impressions, I would say I wasn't particularly sold on Choco Mountain, to be honest. I did quite like the more isolated mountainside aesthetic to Choco Mountain from the original. But this is once again another one that, as I've played more of, I have definitely come around to. I've gone from I'm indifferent towards Choco Mountain to I actually kind of fucking love this Choco Mountain. I'll be so real with you. I've kind of the new theming has definitely won me over. And while the drive up to it might be boring, I actually do like this intermission here, this bit here. Because if you guys don't know, this is the bit with the insane aggressive shortcut. Was it? How many clips have you seen in your Twitter chat where people will complain that Knockout Tour is so much of a backing track, and someone gets a golden mushroom and just skips through all of this giant ass golden mushroom ass looking shortcut? You guys know me. I like me my big beautiful ass shortcuts, and I like the fact that there's a shortcut that's kind of exclusive to the golden mushroom. I definitely get it a little bit. Too many of these shortcuts would be a bit much, but considering in this one instance at least, this one big beautiful shortcut barely ever determines the outcome of a Knockout Tour or Grand Prix, I'm very much okay with it. The theming of the original is something I love, but I just love how like narrow these turns can kind of get. I like the muck as well. The muck kind of works like the lava does, in that if you're in there for too long without any speed boosts, you kind of drown in there and end up losing your items and what have you. But one thing I absolutely love is that, I'm gonna be honest, chat, this is the part where I become a Nintendo fan. This is the part where I become Nintendo Land chat. I just like that it's a lot more overt a reference to Super Mario World. Yeah, I said it, gamers! I said it! Super Mario World! Therefore, the charging chucks really sell me on this track. It really does. I think they're a fantastic hazard and a wonderful homage to the source material. Coupled with the rolling balls from the original that are still here. Coupled with that big-ass shortcut you can do around the mountainous part too. Like when you're leading up to this upper part, you can do like a big shortcut around, which is something you couldn't do in the original one as well. I just think they take the original and they put a lovely spin on it. And they reminded me of my scrimbly game, Therefore gamers. Therefore, I'm gonna be honest, I absolutely adore this Choco Mountain. So before we make our push into the dark lands of Bowser's Castle, gamers, we have to armor up. We have to go to get our munitions. We have to go to the factory, gamers.
Which,
I won't lie, gamers. I won't lie. Even though the intermission leading up to it, from what I recall, is nothing too crazy, I would say it's decent. It's a decent intermission. Toad's mid? Yeah, okay, Alfonso. Can we time out Alfonso, please, check? Can we time out Alfonso? Once we go from this, we end up in Toad's factory, which, guys, it's peak, I'm afraid. 10 minutes to meet Alfonso. This is exactly what I wanted out of Toad's factory, but it's more criminal that it's one lap. It really is, but I'm happy to drive on it. I'm so happy to drive on it. They took a mushroom cup track and put on 24 plus and scaled it down. Yeah, I think that's one thing that I'm glad you mentioned that, because I was about to. I put that in my notes. One thing I absolutely love about this compared to the old Toad's factory is how narrow it is, which I think, considering it's a lightning cup track, fits as a difficult enhancer. And I think it just works perfectly. I don't know why they decided to make this short, but they did. And in an actual race, it ends up being extremely chaotic. Difficulty-wise, even though, again, it's Toad's factory, so you might not think it's anything to write home about, the downscaled nature actually makes this far more tougher than you might remember. And that ending turn as well, again, it might be a mushroom cup track, but this ending section is still a game breaker. If you miss one of those boosters, it's kind of neat. It's definitely kind of neat. And I enjoy Toad's factory. I'll be honest, gamers, even though the intermissions in this cup haven't been anything to write home about, I think the tracks individually I've had just so much fun on. I've been able to just completely ignore the intermissions being okay. And on top of that, it just tells a really cool story. We get from like easy track like Moo Moo Meadows, and it just progressively gets harder and harder. I love the progression in this cup, you know? And what other brilliant track to end on than fucking Bowser's Castle? Hello? Oh my god, gamers.
Hello?
We've
It's
got,
me, Yoshi.
Joey has confirmed another great intermission. So once again, gamers, we get the good intermission, which if you are going to have a good intermission track, it should be the finale intermission. So we end it on a good note, gamers. We end it on a good note. Lap 2, Bowser's Castle, we're already here. And wow, oh my god, gamers. Reference. Not only do we get such a sick... Look at that sick-ass view as well. Baby did a boom boom, gamers. It'll mess you up if you're near them, honestly. You can avoid them if you stay, like, near the edges of the donut. But obviously, you have to contend with being really close to the edge. So you kind of have to be careful about that. So while this section might be a bit simple, you still have to be a bit careful. Taking the fastest racing line involves you taking a bigger risk than you might be okay with. Good lord, and I love this section. It's kind of like Acorn's Heights in a sort of way. There's like boulders rolling down at you. You pick like one of multiple paths, and there's also a little bit where you have to kind of drive in the lava a tiny bit if you're not careful enough. They kind of have the hop skip over the lava as well. The fact that you can potentially drown if you're not careful with the way you drive really sells you on just how brutal this track is going to get, honestly. I love this. I actually love this intermission. It's so good. Guys, do you know what my notes were for this fucking track, gamers? It's literally Toad's Factory, fun, Bowser's Castle, vibes, and more vibes. Because I could dissect this for like a fucking hour, man. The upper path you could take, the lower path you could take. This Bowser's Castle just blows my fucking mind. Every single time I play this Bowser Castle, I feel like I'm just learning something new. I'm noticing something awesome. If you guys didn't know as well, there's this sick shortcut you can do. I think you jump around off the side here as well. There's just so many cool things about this Bowser Castle. I absolutely fucking adore it. And I think this is one of the few tracks they actually decided, hey, do you know what? Do you remember that old school game design that we used to do in old Mario Karts where we'd actually have put hazards in the track to kind of make your decision making better? It's something we've kind of avoided doing in this game because there's so many races now. They've started doing it again. Oh my god. If you take the most inwards path, guess what you have to contend with, gamers? This grated floor here. You have to contend with the Podo Boos. Oh my god. It's just so nice to see a track that actually uses hazards. Because again, I don't mind this game's philosophy of the players are the hazard. But it definitely has left me wanting in a lot of tracks for just that extra bit more, you know? And Bowser Castle absolutely delivers on that. And you have just a lovely cannon shot leading into... Ooh, the cloud top cruise looking dark thunderclouds. And this bit, gamers, the very first time I played this bit, I'm just like, what the fuck was this? But as you guys can tell, you're blue now. Gamers, you're blue now. That's Bowser's attack. The speed of your car is greatly enhanced when you get to this bit, which makes the absolute narrow road combined with the fire geysers that more thrilling to avoid. Good lord, I love this section. And then you see the raining meteors down ahead, and you're just like, wow, I wonder if I have to contend with that at any point. I certainly hope I don't. That would be... And again, this U-turn, even though it doesn't really look like much, this U-turn combined with just how fast you're going, good lord, it's tough. And then you're like, oh no, I do have to contend with the flying meteors. Now, I think in this footage, I don't think any of them are on his forward path, which is quite lucky. But I've had numerous instances where I've had to like dodge past one last minute. And on top of that, they can also land right on you on the track. Oh my god. It's like a double hazard. You dodge them as they're flying past, and then when you come up to it around, you still could get hit by them. And remember, gamers, you're going incredibly fast as well because you're blue now. What? This track is amazing. I absolutely love this track so much. You have no idea. This track alone, gamers, is literally why this cup is #1. I'll be real with you. Like, the other tracks are great. Don't get me wrong, the other tracks are fucking great. But this is probably one of my favorite tracks ever made. I would say this gives, like, Mount Wario a run for its money. I wouldn't say it's as good as Mount Wario. This definitely gives Mount Wario a run for its money. I absolutely adore playing on Bowser's Castle. And the fact that this is the final track in this cup, the best ending you could have made with an intermission that came before that really led you into it, I am left with an absolutely fantastic film, gamers. And that is why, gamers, along with the other tracks being pretty damn solid, it's why Lightning Cup ends up being the best cup in this game. The tracks are all just really fun to play on, and most importantly, none of them left me wanting. So, gamers, there you have it. My Mario Kart World Cups ranked! So what do you think, gamers? Am I on the money, or am I off my meds? Leave a comment, let me know what you think about the cups in this game. Despite the Grand Prix format being really weird, it's something that I've kind of gotten accustomed to. Actually, Nintendo went so goddamn allergic to giving us options, it would probably be the best cup system ever made. But I'll have to save the praise just for the lightning cup. In the same way, I'll have to save my praise for the glorious Musquire wizards. You're not able to see my face because my face cam has just decided not to work, but just know I'm beaming for joy with the glorious support you give me. Alongside the royal guard you can see scrolling across the screen right now, and the knights in the description. It's nice to finally get the ball rolling when it comes to Mario Kart World rankings, and I've already got a couple more in the wings ready to be edited. Oh, good heavens, there's still so many of you. This is the part I have to keep talking so that all of them can scroll. I'm gloriously humbled, let's put it that way. So what's for dinner right now? If you didn't have dinner already, what was for dinner yesterday? And if you're gonna have dinner soon, what is for dinner soon? I've not had dinner yet. I'm probably just gonna air fry me up some chicken wings, because clearly you don't own an air fryer. Until we meet again, gamers, there's your lot.